Again, good morning, Allan. The purpose of our getting together today is to discuss the business side of the makeup industry. I talk with a lot of hairstylists, makeup artists about what it takes to survive from a business standpoint. Not necessarily the skill sets that it takes to do the job, but what it takes to further yourself on the business side. To get going, I'd like you to introduce yourself, give a little bit of your background, how you came to get into this business, and the floor is yours.
Hi, my name's Allan Apone. I own two companies, Makeup and Effects Laboratories, Inc., which is a special effects makeup company, and I also own Mel Products, which is a product supplier for the special effects makeup industry, as well as for just general public Halloween and stuff. So, and I'm a working makeup artist, fashion, beauty, and special effects for motion pictures.
Was it something you always wanted to do?
No. Makeup came about later in my 20s. I wanted to play third base for the Yankees. That's what I wanted to do, but it was never good enough to quite get there. But it was a short-lived dream. But I thought I would end up in the sports world somewhere, either coaching or administration or something like that. But I sort of fell into the makeup craft. I had a very, very good friend in junior high who, was born wanting to be a makeup artist. And in junior high, when we met, there was a group of guys friends that I hung around with that were all artists in one way or another. They were filmmakers and they were craftsmen and stuff. And I hung around with these guys and, sort of would help them do stuff. And then I had another group of friends, which were all my sports friends. I've always had this sort of want to be, growing up, I always had this urge to be very arty, but I never thought that I was. I was more an extra hand, for these guys. But these guys were like amazing artists and stuff, and I would try to draw like some of my friends, and I couldn't, even come close to compare what it's tough for me to draw a stick man, so it was like, so I just never thought about being a makeup artist. And one day I found myself in a position where I was asked if I wanted to learn, and I, took that opportunity and made the most of it.
So is it something you had to go to school for, or is it something you just picked up over a period of time? I know we're in this YouTube era of doing things. Was it more, if you had to phrase it in today's world, was it more of a look and learn and develop, or are you trained professionally, I guess?
So I'm mostly self-taught. My initial teaching, I was working on a film, helping out with special effects makeup stuff, mostly being an extra hand and doing puppeteering and help making molds and doing some builds, but really on a beginner level. Is helping all these amazing artisans on this film. And while I was on the film, the makeup artist on the film and I became friends. And he was a jock. He's an ex-Olympian and UCLA athlete. And so he said to me one day, "You want to learn how to do makeup?" And I said, "Okay." And so for like 3 months, he would teach me a little something each day. And then all the other days, I would just sort of get Cosmopolitan and Vogue and I would look at, the different makeups and stuff, when I, was trying to learn how to do beauty and stuff, and I would try to match it. And I'm mostly I'm self-taught.
So your introduction into the industry was beauty, or was it since?
No, my introduction was effects.
Okay.
My introduction was effects, but I said if I was going to be a makeup artist in the industry, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to be able to do everything, and that's a big part of how my career really took off, was because I could do, a producer could hire me, a director could hire me, and they knew that whatever happened in the movie, I would be able to handle it.
Gotcha. So you never worked on the hair side at all?
Never worked on the hair side. Only facial hair. I mean, that's the only hair that I really get into. Yes.
Hairs, beards, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. When it came to work, how did you start to get? Everybody always wants to know how to get into Hollywood and make it in that direction, as opposed to just being on the beauty side or just working on the makeup side with a company at a cosmetics store. What's your story about how you got into the Hollywood life?
Well, perseverance. I mean, it's not something you see a lot today. Perseverance. you the thing that I see today is that if it doesn't happen tomorrow, move on to something else. It's the instant gratification thing. I, as along with, I can say, almost all of my peers at the moment, started the same way. We hustled. We knocked on doors. We did student films. We did photo shoots for free to get pictures for our portfolios. The first 3 movies I did, I worked for free.
Student films? Were they student films?
The first one was a student film, and 2 of them were low budget horror films. And I wasn't running them. I was just assisting the makeup artist on it. One I didn't do it for free. The other one they gave me gas money to get there. So which was great. And of course then gas money was pretty damn cheap. It was one of those things where you just went after stuff. We read things like Backstage Magazine, and in the back there was always things posted. Now you have different things that are out, Production Weekly and things like that have things posted. And you just check those. I mean, there's still a fair amount of non-union work that's going on, but student films is always a great avenue of
and is most of that
going in.
That stuff you find? I mean, I'm assuming USC has a great film school.
USC, UCLA. There's a bunch of different schools that New York, the New York Film School that's out here. There's a few different schools that will teach film and stuff like that, and in that kids have to do projects and things like that. People are doing projects. AFI, it's another one. They're either no money or very low money.
Right. But
it's experience, and that's something you can't buy.
Have you, from those early days, have some of those relationships been cultivated and are people you still work with today, or people you recognize in the industry today?
Oh, totally. I still have very close. I have, one of the people that works with me here at my studio is one of my friends from junior high.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and
got you started?
No.
Okay.
No, but one of our friends, one of the group.
Okay, gotcha.
That we worked with, and everybody in that group, just about everybody in that group. Not everybody, but just about everybody in that group works in either television or film.
Wow. And that makeup group that you remember?
Yeah, not just a makeup group. I mean, talking about filmmakers.
Okay.
I'm talking about directors. I'm talking about people that do video, people that do costuming, people that do production work. So, everyone sort of, found a different place to be.
Excellent. Okay. When it came to your studio here, was that something that you, from a business standpoint, how long did it take from your introduction into the business to realizing that you wanted to put together a studio, and what were kind of your your steps in saying, okay, I want to put this together and I need to start to do certain things to make that happen?
It's really funny that putting the studio together was one of those things. At the time, there were only 5 special effects makeup studios that were around, and they were all pretty high end. And I had said to my friend who I was got me into doing makeup. I said, we should open a little studio and cater to some of these low budget films and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we'll never go after these big union films that are going on, gotcha. But we can start there and do that. So that's what we did. Mm-hmm. So we saw a niche and we just sort of took it.
Okay. And the studio here, how did this one
this is
come about for you?
Well, the very first studio that we opened, the very first location that we opened was actually in Hollywood. We were doing a project for Billboard Productions, and they gave us a space to actually work out of. Mm-hmm. So we worked there for the first year, and did their project. And then when that finished, we moved here. So we've been here, for 34 of our 35 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. The business savvy from putting this studio together, I know everybody always talks about studio, right? Wants to open up their own salon. was from thought process to actual brick and to being in the facility. What was that time frame like? Was it something you, from a business standpoint, just kind of knew how to put together? How did that whole thing come about for you?
Putting it from the time I said, let's go ahead, let's just do it. We'll just do it. And, you start putting it together and you start setting it up and you start realizing how much there is that you have to do. And then once you get in there and you do it, you go, okay, I'm in here. And then all of a sudden the government comes and says, well, you need to pay this tax and you need to pay that tax. And by the way, you need to comply with this. If you're going to, you're hiring employees. Oh, well, this is what you got to do. And it's just like, and then you start having second thoughts. So like, why did I do this? It's like, this isn't what I thought it was. It's not, hey, let's put on a stage play. Hey, my mom's got some old curtains. And, it's like, it's not that. It's the business world. And you have to comply with everything that goes with it. So sometimes it's incredibly difficult,
How hard was it for you to make the separation of Allan the stylist and Allan the business person?
It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard for me. I sort of always had the business side with me. I've been creating little sort of companies and little events and things since, junior high. In fact, when our group did stuff, it was always me that ran everything because, I don't know, it's one of those things that sort of came easy as far as organization and things like that. So it wasn't so difficult. It's not difficult for me to separate, and I kind of like when I can, because even in running a show and I'm running the makeup department, there's a lot of administration that goes with that, and it's also part of one of the things that makes me more attractive to producers and directors, especially to producers.
To respect their side of the business?
Yeah, because I understand it. I know what's going on. I know that I have to hold to a budget. I can show them ways that I can make my department run better.
Okay. Team-wise, I know I talk to my students all the time about having a team of people, you as an individual, a tax person, an accountant, a CPA, those kind of folks. When did all of those people start to be a part of your life? Was it something that you knew innately, or did it through this process of, the government telling you what you needed to do, you had to seek help and get information?
Yeah, no, the first year, I knew that, I always had a tax person. So, that was easy.
As a self-employed
yes.
person, you've always kind of dealt on the tax side.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the notorious things about this industry is nobody pays their taxes.
Yeah,
nobody structures their business.
No, you got to make sure you do that. I mean, that's, so it's I always, had that. And then as things went on, you have, not necessarily people that you need on full time or whatever, or, but people that you go to once a year, twice a year that, if you need an attorney, there's, you just, I know a bunch of attorneys, nobody's on retainer, but if I need something or I need advice or whatever, I go to them,
Since you deal with the studios and stuff like that, has the contractual side of the industry been something that the attorney's been a major piece in understanding? Let's say XYZ company gives you a contract, you're looking at this contract going, okay, what the heck is it talking about? Has an attorney been probably the most vital piece of your puzzle?
I don't know if it's the most vital piece. Mm-hmm. Only because my liabilities through what we do is minimal. So most of the contracts are pretty black and white. Okay. If I have to sign the contract, so I don't generally get, and actually I don't. I haven't gotten an attorney involved in any of my contracts. I have,
right.
Yeah, either
you're going to get that.
Yeah, either my agent looks it over, mm-hmm. or now I have a business manager, mm-hmm. that will look things over and stuff. And if she sees anything that's wanky, she'll say, "Hey, we need to look at this."
Okay. Now, I know your involvement here is a partnership. How has when it came to developing or looking for a partner, some people, have their parents kick in money and help them. They go to their friends. What do you think are the good dynamics of a partnership for this industry for someone who doesn't necessarily get there? Or should I say, should you look for someone who's actually involved in the industry or just a money partner? What's your thought on that?
My thought is, obviously it all depends on what works for you individually, but for me, the best thing that works is if I have somebody that's involved in the business, not just handing me money and saying, okay, I'll take care of the financial side, you take care of the artistic side. I think you have more, there's a little bit more invested if you are part of the process. Like my business partner here is not a makeup artist. He is a mechanical engineer and prop maker. So that's part of what we do. So I handle one side of the business, he handles the other side. We both bring in work. The biggest thing that I love about my partnership is that I know my business partner is looking out for me, just like I'm looking out for him. So, and that's tough to find. That's tough to find somebody that, in when all is said and done, what matters is how is this going to affect, my business partner is also my friend, So I know that if he's doing well, and I'm making sure he's doing well, then he's going to be making sure I'm doing well.
Gotcha. Okay. You've developed an excellent reputation in the business. Do you, in your early days, was goal setting a part of what you did, trying to work on X number of films or keeping yourself busy? How was goal setting as it relates to your business life, and also how was goal setting as it relates to your personal life? And by personal, I mean, saving X amount of dollars every month, those kind of budgeting and planning things to make sure that when the time came later on, you could step away from this and still have some money aside.
Yeah, I think that, as far as goals, that, from early on, I think the goal was to always try to work on something bigger and better, as you're starting, and then as you're doing that, you want to increase the level of your work. You want to bring up the quality, see how you can make it better, and improve yourself, improve your skills. So those were always the goals, not necessarily the amount of films or the amount of commercials or whatever. It was more quality. Everything was more quality than quantity.
To grow as an artist.
To grow as an art. Yeah, exactly.
Good work.
Right, because there's a few companies that pump out a lot of product, but it's not very good.
Gotcha.
And where that brings them, look at it, everyone has their bar, and that's not a bar for me. I really want to put out quality stuff. So, and then me personally, my mom taught me, even if it's $1 a week, put something away so that you have something for when you're retired.
How soon did you start to think about that?
Probably not until I was in my 30s, to be honest with you. I mean, my mom preached to me, and then I was like, oh yeah, I guess I better start doing that.
Yeah, no, and I always tell my kids the same thing. It's like I talk to them about me being their parents, and it's odd how they'll listen to someone outside of the family who's telling them the same types of things that their parents are telling them, but because it's someone who's been in the industry, who's been in the business, they kind of have a different level of respect, which is kind of why, again, we put these things together so that you can hear people in the business. I tell my students, hey, if you don't do anything but save your tips, think about how much money you'll have at a certain point in time.
Exactly.
You don't think about that in your 20s or 30s. Usually when you get in your 30s or 40s, you start thinking about, man, all the money I wasted when I was in my 20s if I'd have just done X, Y, Z, that kind of thing. So it's always encouraging to try to put that in the mindsets of these young folks.
Yeah.
What about this industry, and what about this industry do you see? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, about the young people who are coming out in this business. What do you feel what advice would you give them to help get their career started, besides that tenacity we talked about?
I think that, I think there was a respect for what's come before is really important. Just a little story. I was talking to a young actor. I was working on a film, and I was talking to this young actor, and he's up and coming, and we were talking, and I said, what's one of your favorite films? Who's your favorite actor? Who do you model yourself after? He goes, well, not really anybody. He goes, I just, got the acting bug, and I wanted to act. I said, okay. I said, but do you watch any old films? And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, something like Casablanca, some Spencer Tracy stuff, and he goes, who? I said, you don't know who Spencer Tracy is? And he says, no. And I said, okay, you never saw Inherit the Wind? He goes, black and white? And I said, yeah. He goes, I've never seen a black and white film.
Wow.
I said, you've never seen a black and white film? He says, no. I said, as an actor, you need to start watching some of these films. I mean, some of the greatest actors of all time.
Yeah.
The craft. I mean, know what you do is a craft.
Right.
And you'll grow much better if you start looking at some of the people that have come before you, that have paved this way.
Gotcha.
I think that's really important. I know you do a lot of hair. Old films, speaking of old films, Sidney Gilleroff. I'm sure that most of your students have no idea who Sidney Gilleroff is. The greatest hairstylist in motion picture history. Did almost everybody. And he was never in the union. He would have to do all the actresses' hair off the lot in in a room off the lot, and then they'd go back in, and then someone else would watch it on set. But he would design everything. It's amazing. There's a great book on him, and I forget the title of it, but it's a really amazing. He was an amazing hairstylist. You have to, I think, appreciate that, and also you have to be self-motivated. You have to be able to motivate yourself to do things, to get things done. And I think that's really important.
I tell them, you've always got to be on. This business is not for the shy, not for the quiet. You're always advertising. You're always talking. You never know who's who.
Right.
When you're talking to somebody, I'm sure like you, I'm sure like me, when I was in the salons and out passing out cards, and just like I give somebody a card and tell them I did hair, the first thing they'd be like, "Really? You do hair?" Just because, tall, imposing figure, male, I never would have thought you were the type to do hair. So it was always a scenario where you had to sell yourself and sell your skills and get out there and let people know what you did and who you were.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always. Last question, if you could, knowing what you know now, would you do anything differently as it relates to your career?
In relation to my career, it's really funny because I've said I don't know if I would open the studio.
Oh, okay.
On one hand, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I would. I guess it depends on the day. And here's the reason why I say that. It's because when you have a studio and you have employees and you have all this responsibility, I think in the end, all of us want to be appreciated for the stuff that we're trying to do. And sometimes the people that you hire, don't have the same thought process. There's a saying that nobody cares like an owner. And that's obvious. Yeah. Okay, so most of the people that I hire, I know, and I've worked with for a long time and stuff like that. So if I hire somebody new or whatever, and I see them not living up to their potential or not giving 100%, I don't understand it. It's tough when somebody doesn't have your drive.
Gotcha.
Okay, so in one hand you have to sort of say, okay, that's them. On the other hand, you have to say, for your business, do I want this energy here? And sometimes okay, this project's over. I'm not going to bring that person back for another project because they may do good work, but the energy that fills the room and affects people around you is very important. Yeah. So you look at it that way. So in that respect, those are the reasons why I always say, I don't know if I'd do this again, because when you're in a room full of artists,
right,
the ego, if you're running it, you're managing a lot of egos, and egos is what makes us artists, right. And we need that, yeah. But there is a way to harness it, and be part of a team. Here's the thing, film. For me, and I'm just going to speak about film and what I do. Film is the largest collective art form there is. Not one. One person doesn't make a film, right, unless you're doing a documentary. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. But to make a major motion picture, it's not one person. It may be one person's vision, right, but he needs 100 and some odd people to achieve it. Yeah. So all those people, all their artistic endeavor, all their egos are all on that screen. And when you come down to it, everyone just wants to, all the artists, all the craftspeople want a piece of themselves up there. Right.
We recognize that.
Yeah.
You mentioned something quick, and I want to touch on it real quick. how difficult has it been with you and, let's say, young artists to tell a young artist that, you know, I know what I can see what you're capable of, but you're not putting out 100%, when they always, and again, maybe it's this quick fix that they have in their mind. Well, I'm doing the best I can. And you obviously can look at them and tell they're not, or they can do more. How challenging is that for you in helping young artists kind of see what they can be?
It's very challenging, because part of the problem is that, especially today, people don't want to put into work to get to where they need to be. There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of practice, a lot of try and error. One of the people that works here now said to me a couple of weeks ago, he said, you said the best thing to me once, and and I said, really? He goes, yeah, the thing that really all of a sudden made me realize what was going on. He goes, you were working on something, and I was making something for you, and I brought it to you and said, is this okay? And you didn't even turn around and you said, if you're asking me if it's okay, it's obviously not.
Gotcha.
So by using certain words, there's already doubt there.
Right.
So it's like, no, you bring it to me when you think you're done.
Gotcha.
And then I will critique it and tell you if it's done or not. And he goes, but it made me think about, oh yeah, I really need to make sure that this is.
Did you give it?
Did I give it? Exactly?
Did I just do this because
Right.
this is what they said do?
Right.
Right. Did I put everything into
Right.
it? Excellent. Okay. Great. Well, again, I want to thank you for taking the time out to speak with the students. I sure hope they find this valuable.
I hope you do too.
Yeah, I hope they find it valuable, and it helps them, because like I said, I know a lot of my students are focused on the makeup, and it's just beauty makeup. Hopefully this will open up some doors and get them focused on some other areas.
Yeah, and it's not that you have to become a full-blown effects artist, but you should know what things that you should, I think that if you're a makeup artist, you should be able to do a bald cap, be able to put on a small, simple prosthetic, know how to do character stuff. Those are things that are really important. You don't have to be able to make molds and do all that,
But at least some basics.
Some basics, and know what goes into it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching. We were watching a movie the other day, and the guy, it was a fight movie, Creed, and the eye and the whole 10 yards. It's like, was all that real? It's like, no, it's all makeup. It's not like he got beat up on purpose.
Yeah.
But it's like, but the hairstylist or the makeup artist on set didn't necessarily need to be an FX person to do that, but they needed to understand how to put that, get that look together.
Exactly.
Yeah, I understand where you're going. I understand what you're going. All right, great. Again, thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.